If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. Some news on the 777. Can't wait for that one, and a bunch more, so stick around. All right, you guys. So first up, coming out of the house of PMDG. First, we have the first round, or the most recent round of 737 updates, improving everything from memory use to memory hardware use on all systems that do not use specifically the ultra settings. But more importantly, the aircraft was refined to be better optimized for lower end PCs as well as Xbox S users. So that should help you guys' enjoyment of the aircraft if you're on that type of system. There's also some new developments in regard to the engine spooling, the automatic flight direction system, and roll mode and control law, meaning that the aircraft is going to roll a little bit more accurately to the real aircraft and not be quite as dramatic and drastic sometimes as it can be. In regard to the universal tablet, unfortunately, all we're hearing is that internal testing continues on the internal tablet for the EFB. Remember, this is supposed to be a universal tablet that will work across all aircraft models and variants. Unfortunately, that's literally all they gave us. We don't have any kind of release information, no previews yet, nothing like that until a final build becomes closer and closer. I will say that at this point, I kind of wish they'd just stop teasing it and just let us know when it's ready, but whatever, however it works out. In regards to the 777, this is probably the most exciting part of the information out of the PMDG house, and that is that the team is deep into adjusting the fly-by-wire system on the 777, collecting as much data as they can to make sure that it matches real-world aircraft and performance. Testing is going exceedingly well, and the refactoring that took place over the past year apparently has led to very, very positive results, and the 777 that flies very closely to the real 777. Now, system implementation has gone on and continuing. They are working on integrating the rest of the flight deck. It sounds like all of the textures of the flight deck are complete. However, none of the systems, or not all of the systems, are animated, meaning switches, buttons, rotaries, flight control surfaces. It sounds like none of them necessarily move as of yet. And that's the part that they are actually working on as of now. Obviously, there is still a ton more to do, as all of the display systems have received a complete rewrite. So they're literally redesigning this aircraft to meet the capabilities of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I imagine, this is obviously just speculation, but I would imagine that they are also trying to give headwind, or headway, I should say, for the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, which we shall be expecting sometime next year, which my bet is around the same release time as what we saw with 2020, which would be in August. So we'll see what happens with that. But the 777 is coming along, and it sounds like testing is going very, very well with each new stage of development. The 777 is an aircraft I am definitely very excited for. I think that's going to be an awesome rendition coming out of the PMDG house, and definitely a welcomed aircraft to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let me know which part of that information that you guys appreciated the most, and let me know if you're just as excited for the 777 as I am. On their website, Bluebird Simulation brought a new video displaying a very gorgeously looking flight deck. The 757 is coming along extremely nicely. This is another one that I know I say this a lot, but I am very excited for. I've been waiting on the 757 ever since it was first announced. I think this is one of my more enjoyable aircraft that I flew in things like X-Plane and in P3D. 757 is just neat. It's just a sort of a different variant. Yes, we still get the Boeing aircraft, but it's still it's aged, so you still get a lot of that analog features that come with the steam gauges. The glass cockpit is very, very limited. I mean, obviously you have your engine displays and your PFD and nav displays, but everything else is, as you guys can see here, is reliant more on the steam gauges than just on the glass cockpits. And I think that's what I really like about these kind of aircraft. It's not too overwhelming. It's not something like if we were to get into the cockpit of a B-52, that would be absolutely ridiculous and terrifying in my opinion. But they've really done an absolutely fabulous job bringing this aircraft to life. I'll go ahead and let that roll one more time for you guys here. they've really just done an amazing job with it. I'm super excited about the level of detail that's been put into the flight deck. The flight deck just looks gorgeous. You can see the depth and all the frames and all the gauges and the entries. The glare shield looks absolutely phenomenal. This is going to be a really, really welcomed aircraft to the simulator. I cannot wait to get my hands on this. I will definitely be doing a guide on this one. It's just a really cool plane. So let me know what you guys think about the Bluebird flight deck here that they've done, and tell me if you guys are just as excited for this one as I am, because this is one that I have been just talking about every single time I get any kind of new information about the 757. I can't keep it to myself. 757 is probably one of my favorite Boeing, or one of my favorite aircraft in the Boeing lineup. On top of the already highly anticipated A330 coming out of Aerosoft, they are also working on the A321neo. Now, I have some sort of mixed reservations about this one, and it has nothing to do with Aerosoft. It really doesn't. I mean, they've done a fabulous job, and they are already releasing information on the A321 series, much like the A330, stating that it's going to be as true to life 3D simulation as possible, highly realistic cockpit sounds and overall environment and textures. And then we know that it seems to be that they're working on what I would describe as a higher fidelity version of the A330, which I imagine they're going to be incorporating back down to the A321 as well. There's been a little bit of speculation. There's been a lot of speculation as to the true fidelity of these particular aircraft and whether or not they're going to be considered, quote unquote, dare I say the word, study level. But they're certainly going to be welcomed aircraft to a great many. The Airbus fans and Airbus family will definitely be appreciative of this particular aircraft and the release of it. However, I'm starting to I don't know how to say it without sounding negative, and that's not at all what I'm trying to get across here. But I think for me, we have so many Airbus aircraft now. We have so many Airbus aircraft. We have the very, very highly anticipated, very, very, very highly anticipated A380 coming from Flybywire, which I cannot wait for. It needs to be here like yesterday. But then we have the Flybywire A320. We have the Latin VFR A320, and I think they have the A321 as well. I know they have the A319. And then we have the Headwind A330, and now we have the Aerosoft A330, and now we have another Aerosoft A321. It's like we're going to have so many different variants of basically the same aircraft. I mean, the A321 is obviously longer and a bit more range and a larger aircraft than the A320, but the overall principle in flight from simulation standpoint, I feel, is basically the same aircraft. So it's going to become a very I guess it's a congested market is the way to think of it now, is the way that I'm sort of seeing what's happening here, is we're getting congested by Airbus aircraft. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. You know, if you look at, Asobo and their development location and, their pride and joy should be Airbus. Where obviously here in the United States, our pride and joy is going to be Boeing. So that makes sense to an extent. It truly does. I do understand that. I'm just speaking to an end user standpoint. Like, at what point do we stop with the Airbuses? At least the same ones over and over again. I mean, like I said, the number of aircraft that we have in the simulator now that start with A32 is getting a little crazy in my opinion. I would really like to see some developers, and I know that this is a hell of a lot of hours, a hell of a lot of man hours, a lot of technology, a lot of reading, a lot of documentation, a lot of development process. So, I'm not trying to downplay that at all. And maybe, they're just capitalizing on what's currently still, in demand. Maybe there's a higher demand for these new aircraft than I feel there would be at this point. But I'd like to see something like an A340, if you're going to do it, or even an A350. Start branching out to and get away from the A32 series is I think is what I would like to see. I'd like to see, us get away from the same basic aircraft. But I mean, at the same token, a lot of the Airbus cockpits, they're so identical that I guess from a flight simulation standpoint, once you sit in them, sitting in front of a computer at the end of the day, I imagine an Airbus is an Airbus to an extent, with the exception of things like a massive change, again, going to the A340 or going to the I believe it's the A340, the 4-engine, and then or going over to the A380, which obviously is definitely a 4-engine. So let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about all of the Aerosoft, or not the Aerosoft, all of the Airbus aircraft that we currently have, and specifically from the A320 series or A319/20 series of aircraft? What do you guys feel about that? If you guys are interested in Flight Sim Expo 2024, now is the time to get your voice in and help determine where it will be held. They are holding a poll that everyone can participate in and cast your votes on where you would like to see Flight Sim Expo 2024 held. They are planning on basically the same dates as what we had last time. The dates are June 21st to the 23rd of 2024. That's, again, basically the same times that we had previously. But anyway, I wanted to make sure that you guys had this knowledge. I had an absolutely wonderful time at the Flight Sim Expo. Met a ton of you guys. It was so much fun. Just being able to sit and talk with the developers that I've been working so closely with for the last couple years, as well as meeting so many of you guys and hearing the excitement in meeting me. That was really humbling and really heartwarming. So I will definitely be returning to Flight Sim Expo once again next year, and I hope to see as many of you guys there as possible as well. So make sure that if you guys want to cast your votes in on where you'd like to see the venue be, maybe in your hometown, be sure to come to the website listed in the description below and put in your entries. Last up on the list here, a little bit of channel news, you guys. We have some new hardware coming down the line here that's about to arrive tomorrow that I think you guys are going to be super, super excited about. A very awesome autopilot system. Actually, it's far more than that. This is a piece of hardware that will control everything from your hardware to your radios, you name it. So stick around for that. I think you guys are going to really appreciate this, especially if you're someone who needs to conserve space. I'm super excited. Again, it will get here tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow evening I will be showcasing that. The other thing is live streams are going to be returning back to the channel. We're going to be starting out on Twitch once again, but there are going to be other platforms coming to the channel here pretty quick. But I'm going to try as early as this evening as to get a live stream going once again, get a chance to just kick back and talk with you guys. It's been a long time. I miss it. I really had a great time doing the live streams. They just became very hard to schedule in. Most of my live streams for the near future will be very pop-up. I'm not going to commit to any schedules at this time. I live a very busy life, unfortunately, where, I'm still got the old 9-to-5 job, still got the 5 kids or 5 family members, you name it, dogs, cats, etc. So it can be pretty overwhelming pretty quickly. So that's why the live stream stopped in the first place, is it just became too hard to commit to. And I was feeling guilty about it, so I just stopped them altogether. But they are coming back. We're going to do some very slow entry to sort of see how it goes, see how you guys are feeling. But I really do appreciate all that. And then finally, do not forget, you guys, that to all of my Patreon supporters, the Longitude update guide, or the Longitude guide update, will be releasing this weekend. So be on the lookout for that. We've already got some new information that's been added to the guide, some things that have been removed to make your jobs a bit easier, as well as some new pages that have been added to make your jobs easier. And that's all thanks to the AAU2 updates. It took a while. I'm glad that I waited for AAUs to sort of polish out, and they were changing pretty rapidly, and that's why I held off on updating the guide for so long. Other thing is, what's going to be coming right behind that is the TBM 930 guide will be updated. We're going to be flying the TBM 930 later this evening, you guys, so be on the lookout for that video as well. It's been a long time to see where it's at as well. And then hopefully that will be something that will also be an enjoyable experience. It's been a long time since I've been in that particular bird. So that is it for channel news, guys. I appreciate all of you guys' support. I really, really do. I can't tell you what it means to me. You guys make so much possible, as I've said many times. I am very humbled by every opportunity that you guys have provided me with, and I just can't say it enough. I do not take it for granted, and I want to make sure that I always make that known on this channel as often as possible. As always, my friends, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.